Last weekend, my husband Dave and I were up in Oregon celebrating the wedding of Joel Timmons, our former youth minister, to his bride, Meg. And it was a beautiful weekend in that incredibly beautiful part of our country. And after the wedding, Dave and I stayed an extra day to travel up the Oregon coast a little bit. And one of our stops was a lighthouse that offered tours inside. There was a little boy, maybe 4 years old, with his parents at the ticket counter. And as the family was inquiring about the cost of tickets for the lighthouse tour, the little boy asked the staff member, "Is mine on the house?" And it was just really cute. All of us who were in the room chuckled because that phrase coming from such a little guy was unexpected. But we learn about the fact that everything costs money from an early age. We're always wondering how much something's going to cost us. It's often the first question out of our mouths when we hear about something new and interesting, something fascinating or somewhere new to travel that we haven't heard about yet. And we'll wonder, how much does that cost? Practically all of our living, our lifestyle is dictated by cost, what we have to spend in order to acquire it. Even our language around cost reflects how we feel about it. What's the damage? That'll break the bank. It'll cost an arm and a leg. Phrases that indicate loss and pain, right? A feeling and utterance of ouch. And if we are fortunate enough to not have to worry and wonder about cost in our daily lives, then I hope we can recognize that cost is a daily concern for so many people in our world. And may that be a call for us to remain attentive to the needs around us and the barriers that exist for others and do something about that. Because even if it's not our reality right now, I'm sure all of us in this room have at one time counted the cost of things we've needed and wanted in life. Jesus is calling us to count the cost today, to count the cost of discipleship, of following him. And it's not cheap. Being a Christian, being a disciple, is not just a label we add to all the other labels we ascribe to ourselves. Being a disciple of Jesus defines all of those other labels. Jesus is saying today that if we expect following him to have little impact on our daily lives, we're in for a rude awakening. Following Jesus changes absolutely everything. And that's good news, right? Why did I call it a rude awakening? Because it means that following Jesus will cost us. And when that reality hits, we don't like it. We don't want to let things go that are comfortable or convenient. We like our money, our relationships, our priorities the way we have set them. That's our humanity. That's our sinfulness there. The good news is that Jesus knows us so fully and loves us so deeply that he isn't willing to let us off the hook, to leave us to our own devices, figuratively and literally. The things that we spend our money, our time, and our energy on, they're not what bring us true life. Jesus is our true and lasting life, and following him means that our life, as we know it, is changed. So what does this mean for us? How are our lives changed? And what is this cost that we are called to count? Today is Rally Day, the kickoff to our ministry programming year. Pastors and ministry leaders will joke with one another that Rally Day is the third holy day of the year after Christmas and Easter. It's a full day. We get to see so many people. There's a lot of energy and life in the church on Rally Day. And we come together, this morning we came together for God's work our hands through a big service project assembling 250 baby care kits. Rally Day may not be on the official liturgical calendar, but it is a big day for the church. Because as we start all of this programming, we are committing to this year of growing in our faith. And there is cost in that. Some things we'll have to give. Choices will have to be made. In order for our kids to grow up knowing and hearing God's love for them, In order for them to grow up with the songs and words of worship etched in their hearts, such that when they go out on their own, that will be comfort to them and they will be strong in that. In order for them to grow up with the beautiful community of a Christian faith community, extended family, well, in order for all that to happen, we make the choice and the commitment to be here in community. We make that choice and commitment even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, because Jesus has made the choice for us. Jesus has changed our lives by dying and rising for us. And this isn't a guilt trip. That's not who Jesus is. That's not what Jesus is about. He is being clear, though, that we should know what we're getting into as disciples, and that it's not cheap. It's not an easy thing. It's going to cost us. So we are called to ponder today, what will it cost me to live the disciple life, to fully commit, to be fully present, to watch how Jesus changes my life and draws me even closer to him and to others. What is it going to cost? Jesus isn't saying it's only going to cost a few of us here. We're all in this together. We're all called to count the cost, to give of ourselves, to give of our possessions, our time, and our money, so that we may be God's hands and feet, so that the world may know God's love and mercy and hope and joy. Living the disciple life costs us all in different currency, kind of. Sometimes it costs us relationships that are more hurtful than healing, and they need to go so that we can grow. Sometimes it costs us in our priorities, where we invest our time. Sometimes it costs us in our relationship with money, where and on what we spend it. Living the disciple life will cost us. And that's not a threat. It's a gift. It's freedom. Because when Jesus calls us to leave it all behind today, and even when he calls us to hate, which I know is a hard thing to hear, there's a note on that. Biblically speaking, the Greek word here is best translated as love less. So it's not about being angry towards those in our lives, turning on them. That word actually means just love them less. Love them less than me, Jesus is saying. Love these people less, and love your own life less than you love me. If you do that, you can be my disciple. So when Jesus calls us to leave it all behind and love less everything and everyone and even ourselves, Jesus is saying, none of your possessions or relationships or things you hold dear in this life are ever going to give you the life that I give. They will not bring you peace. They cannot bring you joy like I give. They also don't challenge us beyond ourselves. They don't call us out beyond our own desires or our wants. They cannot heal us or forgive us or save us. Only Jesus can do that. And he does that once and for all on the cross, where sin is conquered and death is destroyed. So Jesus knows what it counts for him to save us. He knows what it costs to bring us out of the grave that shuts us in and to free us from the death grip of our money and our possessions. Jesus has reshaped our lives and strengthened us for discipleship. Washed in the waters of baptism, we are made disciples and claimed as Christ's own. We remember that today as the water marked our foreheads. And our commitment to following Jesus flows out of his commitment to never let us go. Eating and drinking Christ's body and blood at this table, we are nourished as disciples, and we are forgiven of all the things we've had a hard time letting go of. We get to start again every day with that forgiveness, and especially around this table and this meal of love. Discipleship is not easy, and it is not cheap, but that's because it impacts every part and every moment of our lives. It's not just on Sunday morning where we check a box. It's not just when we're thinking about it. It impacts every single moment. Jesus impacts every single moment. And discipleship costs us, but only because the grace of Jesus Christ covers us. The gifts of forgiveness and mercy and grace, the greatest love we've ever known, all freely given. You might say, it's on the house. Thanks be to God.